Will wants to know about, he's got on his SN95, he's thinking about going to coilovers, and he wants to see what will happen going around the Glen. It's probably a fun street car, but I'm looking to do a few HPDE events. What coilover spring rate would you suggest to still give me a decent ride quite around town and some aggression through run on a few spirited laps? Boy, that's the easiest question of the day. Here's your front strut. Now, this is a strut that Strange Engineering builds for me, custom, based off of my dynos, my shock dynos. Some of you have been with us have seen the book. It's got that thick of all the shock dynos I've collected over the years. I've got a really specific range of what I like to see in the shock absorber. And I went to, when we were in Chicago, I went to Strange Engineering and I said, can you do this? And they walked me back to Dimitri. I showed Dimitri the dyno charts. He's like, you do this? Sure. So he's done, we do a both front and rear. The fronts only come double adjustable, the rear is double and single adjustable. So I mean, that's the shock package you want to use. Now, as far as spring rate, when it gets down to that point, you and I will have a conversation on exactly how you're going to use the car, what tires you have, what your driving experience is, you know, kind of all those things, and then I'll figure a spring rate. If I had to guess off the top of my head right now, maybe 450 in the front. But like I say, the nice thing about coilovers, you can change them out. It's really easy. And I keep talking about all the pieces. So I'm going to show you the individual pieces. Now, at the very bottom, I talked about the thruster or torsion release bearing. That is just really thin, and you can see, there's the camera. You can see it's a whole bunch of little bearings. You know what that does? It sits under the spring, because the spring does these little things. And if it's not on something that spins, then it's going to start. I mean, it just starts eating up things. And it's kind of cool with the Strange, though. It's also got bearings at the top. Look at how easy the whole thing spins. Because the bearings at the top, bearings bottom. So that's on the bottom. And then, of course, we've got the mainspring. Now, the Strange takes a 2.5 ID mainspring. Our JRZs take a 2 1/4. And you can kind of see the difference between 2.5 and 2 1/4, both in ID and then OD. And then on top of that comes the spacer. And spacer is just kind of a double-sided thing. And then on top of that goes the helper spring or tender. So you can see I can compress it with my hands. The whole purpose of that is when you go to higher spring rates and shorter spring, you have to go to shorter springs for higher spring rates, because if you have a high spring rate and a tall spring, I mean, the thing doesn't compress. So to get that all working and make sure the spring stays in place, we put this little helper spring at the top. Now, back a long time ago when I was doing formula cars, anytime we jack the car up and do work on it, and we set down the ground, we take them out and walk around and hit every shock until it went bong. And if you hit a couple of times, it didn't go bong, you just wait. The driver goes off, first bumps the hit, then it'll go bong. That's just the spring just dropping into the seat. Well, by doing helper spring, that doesn't happen. It stays in place.